You guys are millionaires. Your investors are down 90%, and you guys are millionaires directly from a representation that was false.
Yep.
I mean, we did
100%.
tell people when we used it. I didn't make any false. We did change things a lot.
Now, honestly, this is where things started to kind of go in circles.
So I guess maybe the idea is that he justifies being a complete and utter scumbag because what they've done is technically along the way change the rules, right? So it's like, hey, get on the ground floor. We've got this wonderful new token. And then along the way, they're like, we're going to just change this. We're going to change that. We're doing this. We're launching 2.0. Now we're doing Safemoon this. And now every single one of your old Safemoon tokens will be valueless unless you buy all these new tokens with them and things like that, right? So maybe in their heads, they're like, well, the game done changed, right? And we were just, we were transparent about that part. So if you missed part 1 to this amazing story that CoffeeZilla has uncovered, apparently, allegedly, the person you see before you, one of the team members of Safemoon, he goes by the name Papa. It was Papa, right? That not like Big Papa or anything, just Papa. He's part of a team of people who have done a monstrous amount of scamming. Yeah. And that was part 1. So now we get the thrilling conclusion, hopefully. We'll see.
Hi, I'm CoffeeZilla, and I, alongside some other researchers, investigated Safemoon. And we just published a 30-minute breakdown about why we think this billion-dollar market cap company, or coin, was fraudulent. And the story basically came down to the core promise of Safemoon. Basically, the money was supposed to be locked up, untouchable, and it wasn't. And I was finally ready to be done with this story when suddenly Thomas Smith, who goes by the name Papa, stepped forward to talk. Papa is the former CTO of Safemoon and probably the second most important person in their history. And he told me he was ready to take some questions. Now, to be honest, I respect the move. It takes guts to take on hard questions. And what follows is the highlights of our call together. I think we should start with the moment that I confront Papa about the team basically committing fraud. Yeah, and frankly, I mean, to be honest, I'll just be honest because I feel like you know that I'm just trying to get to the truth here. How is this not fraud?
Which part?
The part where, you know, it starts and everything's locked up, guys. Don't worry, the money's locked up. Don't worry, we'll never touch it. If we did, we'd go to jail and get a lawsuit.
No,
and then subsequently, everybody who owns the contract touches the LP and takes money. How is that not fraud?
I think at first people, like, we were trying to do the auto locking. And then when the organization started, John leveraged to have it unlocked. So there was a lot of shifting at first.
But no. The LP was taken from before John ever got on board. It was taken from March 5th. From the beginning, money was being taken out of the LP.
I mean, you can definitely ask those questions, but I don't have answers for you on that.
Well, here, I'll send you the transaction because I don't want to make I never like to make statements where people.
I know it's all right. It's on the blockchain. It's on the blockchain.
Here, I'll send you the transaction though, just so you can check for yourself. I don't want you to think that this is some kind of a thing. There he is taking 36 trillion Safemoon out of the LP on March 5th. How is this not fraud? At this time, they're saying it's auto-magically locking up for 4 years. You never have to worry. And then you guys end up with millions of dollars and the investors end up with negative 90%. I mean, you can understand the...
More infrared? Oh man, I can't turn down Haas. Oops, the omni-liberal, you forgot the fact check. I'm sure as an ordo-liberal, you will retweet this correction the way the New York Times would issue a correction to such a foible. It's your duty to debunk information or disinformation. The mask in the face of contemporary spiritualism. Reminder. I am an underdog compared to Hassan because of how principled and honest I am, except when I lie non-stop about the people I lose debates to. They don't have enough clout to show my audience that I'm actually a lying rodent. Reminder, the test of someone's integrity is not how they posture to the public. It's whether they maintain good faith honestly. Even when they can get away with lying, in this case he can get away with smearing you and me because he has more followers. Truth. Hassan was actually right, and this is what marginalized Destiny. He is actually just a Weasley little liar. It sums up his entire truth of his online presence. If you just listen to Hassan, everything would be clear as day. Yeah, I mean, I don't agree that Destiny broke Haas, but I think Destiny kind of just pushed him. He just needed like a little push, and then, you know, gravity kind of takes its way in terms of you know, spirituality, let's just say. I think Haas also has a parasocial relationship with all of these people because he grew up watching them. He said it before. He used to watch Twitch a lot, so he's watched all these people his whole life, and now he's actually directly interacting with them and kind of is jumping in there as if he's like already fostered a relationship in some way.
Problem there.
Well, yeah,
he jokered him.
I see the problem for sure.
Okay, so Papa says he sees the problem, but what does that mean? And how much did Papa get paid for this whole disaster? That's a huge question that I've had from the beginning, and so I asked him about it. How much money did you profit from Safemoon?
The amount that I got was right around that, like the 2 million mark.
Okay, Papa made $2 million, according to him. Now, I personally think it might be more.
Why do people agree to talk to CoffeeZilla if they're guilty as fuck? I don't get that. Like, I think you're better off doing the whole, they refused our request for comment. Just getting that one little line is going to be better than like a video in which like you just continue to self-incriminate.
That, but throughout our call,
they don't think they're guilty as fuck. That could be it. More often than not, people when talking to him will just straight up be like, yeah, I did a rug pull on all my fans. I made them pour a whole bunch of money into this, and then I just walked away with all that cash. And I was like, does that not make you feel bad, Ice Poseidon? And it's like, no, not really. I'd do it again. I don't know. They're idiots. So as long as these rubes that seem to enjoy me and are entertained by me are willing to just depart with their money and I can just steal it without any real consequence, why would I not do that? And obviously that's not the actual conversation that went down, but that was the general sentiment I would say that I got.
The number he really stuck to. He said he never had any secret wallets, and any other wallets were just paying lawyers, PR firms, and other groups. He only made $2 million, according to him, and he said Kyle paid him a lot of that. Oh, you got it from like Kyle?
Yeah, actually, he gave me $1 million in Safemoon at one point.
But the question is, where did Kyle get that money from? Because if you listen to
unfortunately, that's the embodiment of a huge sentiment in the crypto sphere that rubes deserve what rubes got as long as I'm not the rube. Last man standing. It's like built into the scam itself.
Or anyone else in Safemoon. Most of Safemoon's expenses come from Kyle's participation in the pre-sale and not the liquidity pool. Do you pay from the deployer wallet 1 trillion tokens to John, the Gabe wallet?
So the deployer wallet, we actually talked about this a lot in the early days, kind of like buried beneath everything else today now. But
I gotta say, Papa, based on like, you know, the wizard like profile with the lasers, you don't really sound like your avatar.
If you search for it, I'm sure.
If I saw this, I would expect you to be like, I am the mighty Papa, here to bestow important information upon you. You know, at the very least.
You'll find it.
Put some pageantry
the deployer
into it.
wallet, the balance that was in it was one of the early pre-sale. So he threw in like $300 into the launch of it.
Who did?
I don't even think that he was the first buyer. Safemoon Dev.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah. So that was out of pocket for him.
What, 300
Whatever
bucks?
came out of that was out of pocket.
This has always been Safemoon's story. The money Papa made, Kyle made, Ben Phillips made, the tokens Karony got, it all comes from the magical pre-sale tokens. But this cannot be true because when you crunch the numbers, most of Kyle's Safemoon tokens didn't come from the pre-sale at all. It didn't even come from the tokens that Kyle was constantly buying or selling. To illustrate this, I created a pie chart to show you the proportion of Kyle's Safemoon holdings. In red is the amount he took from the liquidity pool, in blue is the pre-sale, and in yellow is the net Safemoon he purchased and then sold. So as you can see, a huge amount of Kyle's tokens came from the liquidity pool, meaning that Thomas has some explaining to do. Kyle, specifically, because I know you got paid and you paid Karony a bunch of money. So when you actually look at Kyle's LP, or his Safemoon amounts, he couldn't have provided that had he not been taking money from the LP. So you guys, your payment was coming from liquidity that was supposed to be for the investors.
I mean, I really don't know anything about what was happening with the owner before I had it.
You didn't know he was taking money out?
No.
It seems like the former CTO of a blockchain project is saying he didn't know what Kyle had done on the blockchain, that he had basically been pulling money out of the project from the beginning. Now, I'll be honest, this seems hard to believe. Later, Papa admits it makes him uncomfortable, the idea that maybe some of his funds came from a stolen liquidity pool.
That's what I was told at the time anyway. You know, you got it from the pre-sale. So I'm uncomfortable with that, if it didn't come from the pre-sale.
Right. I mean, that's the whole problem. I agree with you. So I actually agree with you. If Safemoon Dev had bought it in the pre-sale and he had decided to give you guys a payout and that's how you guys made your millions, we wouldn't be talking, right? The problem is that there was an express thing that was the whole purpose of Safemoon. The whole idea of Safemoon was we're going to go safely to the moon. It's in the name. How are we going to go safely to the moon? Well, these other DeFi projects rug. We're not going to rug. What's not going to make us rug? We're auto-magically locking the LP, except no, we aren't. We're taking from the LP, and that's actually how we're making our millions of dollars.
It's definitely obvious that that stance changed.
Now, here's where our conversation
Okay, so that is an admission of guilt then, right? I mean, maybe not directly. You could be like, well, I infer that there is some admission of guilt there, as in like you were simply agreeing with the statement I just said out loud, which is pretty fucking shady, as in you just scammed a lot of people.
Makes a big turn. We've already discussed the whole I didn't realize this was from the liquidity pool argument, and here comes their next argument. Basically, Safemoon had pivoted and changed their story, and they had told people that they were going to be taking money out of the liquidity pool. But is that true?
It's definitely obvious that that stance changed. I was locking the LP myself. I was doing it.
But that stance changed April 21st was your all-time high. You guys were still
It's like the
changing
day
story.
before that I locked the 250.
Right. But what I'm saying is, you guys were still changing the story at the time of your all-time high. So even if it changed, it's sort of like too little, too late. So many people are on this ride. You know what I mean? See, that's the whole problem with this story. Even though Safemoon eventually told people that they would be taking money out of the liquidity pool, this argument doesn't stand up because they'd been taking the money out before they told anyone. That's the critical issue. March 5th is the first time they took money out, and their official stance was still changing in April. Papa didn't seem to see this as too big of a problem, though.
We were pivoting often in those days. So we started out on a WordPress page that definitely couldn't handle this stuff. There was a lot of shit on there that shouldn't have been there to begin with.
But even your page up in April was LP. There's something about auto locking LP or LP locked on PancakeSwap for 4 years. Blah blah blah. You're talking about auto locking LP. People think you're auto locking it up. I mean,
I was not making any. Like, I never made any claims as to automatic or manual. Like, I was showing people. I was telling people when I was doing it.
Apparently, allegedly, chat, Q has debated and or berated Glenn Greenwald in a call-in-style podcast, apparently, and just bodied the floor with Glenn. I really want to listen to this and perhaps even draw some caricatures of the characters described therein. So I'm trying to find out if I can get an early leaked copy for all of you wonderful people.
So we did it all together in Discord.
right. No, I understand that. Maybe you were like saying to people who asked, but
no, not
the organization
not
as
Q
a whole
from QAnon. Q as in previously Andre Domis, the editor of Maclean's, communist guy, popular figure online, started Res NWA. Yeah,
made a certain representation, right? So the organization said, okay.
Oh, back then there wasn't. I don't even think there was an organization.
Glem of the Glemwalds.
Fine, a website. Somebody was saying that this thing's auto locking. This is the whole thing behind Safemoon. I mean, it's in the name, right? And y'all had it in your white paper about the locking, right? The auto locking. You did.
You 100% lied.
This is the whole problem that I'm struggling with. Is I just keep coming back to this feels like fraud. This is fraud. I mean, how could it not be? You guys are millionaires. Your investors are down 90%, and you guys are millionaires directly from a representation that was false.
Yep.
I mean, we did
100%.
tell people when we used it. I didn't make any false. We did change things a lot.
Now, honestly, this is where things started to kind of go in circles.
So I guess maybe the idea is that he justifies being a complete and utter scumbag because what they've done is technically along the way change the rules, right? So it's like, hey, get on the ground floor. We've got this wonderful new token. You basically buy into it. A percentage of every single transaction will put in an amount into a pool. That pool will be used as safety so that this coin can never fall in the same way other cryptocurrencies do. We got you. Invest lots of money. You can invest safely as we all go to the moon collectively together. And then along the way, they're like, we're going to just change this. We're going to change that. We're doing this. We're launching 2.0. Now we're doing Safemoon this. So now every single one of your old Safemoon tokens will be valueless unless you buy all these new tokens with them and things like that, right? So maybe in their heads, they're like, well, the game done changed, right? And we were just, we were transparent about that part.
And so I'll just leave it to you to decide how you want to feel about this. We changed it over time idea. Now, I want to move our conversation to talk about John Karony. Did you...
A scary thing is how many folks are asking CoffeeZilla if Safemoon's tokenomics would be viable if the team wasn't corrupt. Well, of course. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people were like, well, in theory, the whole thing sounds like a great idea. Yes, it just seems like most of these major token launches, whatever you want to call them, and especially all of the shitcoins, a lot of them are just surrounded by people who are looking to maximize their wealth. And it kind of seems like cryptocurrency in general is surrounded by people who want to maximize their wealth. In theory, can you do some amazing things with some of the technology that you're even using right now? Possibly. I mean, it seems like all of it is being used for the greasiest, shadiest shit. How about this? Hey, we have a way to tokenize playing video games. Doesn't that sound amazing? So now you can play video games while at the same time earning tokens for the actual in-game things that you accomplish. That way, you can walk back and you can actually spend that money in the real world so you can play video games for a living, not review them, not have to do testing, just play the game. And everyone's like, that sounds like the most amazing future I could possibly envision. And so out comes this Pokemon knockoff, and the whole thing is that you have to spend about $300 to $600 investment to get in on the ground floor, or there's an alternative. If you can't afford to buy your little creatures that you're going to build up and all that kind of stuff, you can rent them. So we actually have video game landlords. Yes, there are creature landlords who operate in this online digital cryptocurrency based game who lend out their creatures to people and then take a cut and percentage of all their earnings. The majority of the people who are really into playing this game happen to be in countries like the Philippines, where all of a sudden it was economically viable for them to spend 12 hours a day working on it and playing this game, building up these little monsters, and then all of a sudden when the value of it crashed, so too did their ability to make money off it. Like, just the worst parts of capitalism all of a sudden exist in a video game form. And it's like, you could potentially, in theory, do great stuff with this. Everyone is just trying to get theirs, though. That's it. Everyone just wants to get mines, you know? Like, I want my taste. I want... Oh yeah, that's good. That's good. All right, so I got mines. I don't give a fuck about you. It seems to be this replicating problem.
Or suspect Karony of fraud?
It has a Twitch category too. Ouch. Ouch. But Twitch, YouTube, all of them, they are going to integrate with this. Like, it's not even a mark my words thing. YouTube already announced it. YouTube already said that, hey, by the way, there's going to be a new feature in sometime in the future where you have an ability to push a button and all of a sudden you can sell your videos as NFTs. So at first, a lot of people are probably going to be like, why would I do that? I don't want any part of this. No, I don't want to engage in this massive pyramid scheme. But then all of a sudden, you're not making a lot of money off ad revenue. I can tell you firsthand, ad revenue is plummeting all the time. More and more videos get demonetized. So all of a sudden you're in this position where it's like, well, I mean, some of my contemporaries are making some money off this. Maybe I should turn it on. Maybe we have to do mass adoption of this really, really shitty new feature on this website.
Clean up your room.
Guess I can't compete with it.
Yes.
Holy shit. Wait, what? You did win.
I left, right? Like, when he started threatening to ruin the lives of the people that have been with me for 10 years. When
I guess you can't read it. That's a top tenner right there. Oh man, that is absolute and utter has gold. All right, we have struck has gold. I'm sending that one to Dave right now. And by the way, shaming people for being short is terrible. It doesn't make sense. Short people are fucking awesome, and you know, we stand short kings. We'll just say that much. It's just funny in his case because he takes it so seriously. He takes it so seriously, and again, I got to reiterate this: him and Destiny are the same height. It's the same thing as him being furious at Bad Empanada and calling him the ugliest person he's ever like known, and saying that he can't ever get women or pussy. Or by the way, I met Bad Empanada in real life. He has a girlfriend. But anyways, him having that attitude where it's just like, you are the most disgusting, ugly person I've ever met in your life. I was like, you both look kind of similar, and that's not a slight on either of you. I'm not saying you're both bad looking. You're both very handsome gentlemen, but you have a very similar look, right? And so that's very weird for you. And for you to be like, I am taller than Destiny. I am the tallest man in the universe. I will crush all beneath my incredible height. When it's like, you guys are the same height, and Destiny doesn't care. That's the funny thing about it. Is Destiny, like, you can see in that video where they're like standing beside each other, he's just like laughing, like, why are you doing this? Did you know? Have all of you seen the footage? Has actually flexed in front of Destiny. He gets up and takes his jacket off and starts flexing in front of him, and then starts going off about how he's all natural. He's like, I'm all natty. You see his body? His body is all natty. I'm like, you are a cartoon of male insecurity, you know? This is like what I would think if I was writing a sketch for SNL in the fucking 70s of what a person should do if they're super insecure. Just walk up to people and go, yo, bro, look at these muscles, bro. Look how much I'm fucking, it's all natural, bro. Cool story, buddy.
And all that the fake
all
articles
natty.
about Jack,
All natty.
the way that he treated everybody on the way out. I mean,
Now, Safemooners are going to say,
Oh man, I'm sorry if you're really invested in this story. I am as well, but I can't turn down some of these. Short men can pull it off, but they're supposed to be calm and quiet. For intimidation factor, when they're loud and aggro, like me, it causes problems. I am the mighty man. Do you not hear my decibels increasing?
you got kicked out.
that's what they try to say about everyone. They didn't say it about me, but I know firsthand that they were trying to prepare a statement. and then their PR firm talked him down.
Wow. Papa says he suspected Karony of fraud based on how he treated his fellow
Has
employees.
stun locks are my kryptonite? True. True. I like, just in general, just because like he's just so unique. Like I said, in the whole character selection screen of internet personalities, he there's some people you can kind of be like, oh, they're very similar individuals, and they kind of have the same dialogue and rhetoric and speaking patterns. They're kind of clones of each. There's a lot of that. He is absolutely 100% unique. There's no one who is simultaneously as insecure while at the same time like caring so much about issues that people specifically use to fuck with him. Like, and it's like, it's so easy. I can't wrap my head around how easy it is. You would think at a certain point, because he's got a big community, someone would just tell him, they're fucking with you ass. Like, you are the only one who gives these things power. You and you alone. If you like didn't care or just let any of these go, they would have no ability to use these against you. But because you care so much, that is why they become so powerful. And it's ridiculous because no one else cares. Like, no one. Stop the tilt. The angle. Who else will do that? I'm like, genuinely sad about this. Who else will take things to such extremes? Stop the tilt. He had a person called Neat Feet who did the math and tried to figure out the angle to show how it was mathematically implausible for Destiny to be taller than him. When they're pretty much the same height. Insofar as it matters, they're the same height. But he started to stop the tilt campaign to show what angle the camera was manipulating the footage of. I still can't get over that. And he was so serious about it. Whereas, like, if I told you all this right now and you were hearing it, you've been like, well, this is Lance inventing some kind of, I don't know, straw has or something. I was like, no, this is all part of the lore. It's all real. Stop the tilt. Yeah, you've lost me. All right. Whew. Enough. We're free of the Haslock. No more Haslock, okay? And I'm now going to return to find out why exactly Safemoon are the baddies and why do they suck.
And said he routinely threatened his coworkers. I continued to dig about this, and I also tried to understand more about Safemoon's true origins, specifically Karony's origins. So, is it true that Karony lived in a van or like trailer before Safemoon?
Yes. Where did that come from? But it wasn't really. It was for him. It was a bougie trailer. He did it purposefully.
Well, I'm just saying it's not like he wasn't rich before Safemoon.
No.
Okay, I'm just wondering. All right, now I want to show you something. What I'm about to show Papa next are the multiple $1 million payments to John Karony from Bitmart. Because the idea is, after establishing Karony was living in a trailer around the time that he stumbled into Safemoon, suddenly he's being paid millions of dollars.
Thank you very much for the
How?
Prime
Thomas
and
seems equally
free
perplexed.
Syria.
Jesus Christ! What is
Free
that?
Syria, free Yemen, free Palestine,
just,
free Ukraine.
That's just a couple
free them all.
of several $1 million payments to
free the
Karony.
Yinta too.
That's $6 million right there.
When was that? That was
In June.
last year.
Oh shit.
Yep.
Yeah. See, I knew a bunch of this was happening.
Oh.
But I didn't know it was going to him.
So you knew somebody was profiting from like...
Well, my understanding was that it was for Safemoon, right?
This was just weird. How could Papa not have known Karony's wallet was doing all of this? Because to begin with, he was one of the
So
people
much
who
money.
told me that it was Karony's wallet. Before our call, he told me he knew it was Karony's wallet immediately based on the last 4 digits of the wallet, 6ABE. He said in a DM, "Hey yo, that 6ABE is John," and then later told me this. Did you also know that?
Why are you doing all this? Again, like, if the SEC had any ability to persecute these people, this is just like, you are building such a mountain of your own evidence in real time. I can't believe this.
Oh no! As soon as someone else pasted it to me, and as soon as I saw a 6ABE, I knew exactly what wallet it was in instantly.
Yep.
Yeah. So if you hear, I think forever ago there were a few hints to it back at the AMAs and other, like Discord discussions where he'd talk about Gabe, and people thought it was a person, but it's really just an address.
Oh.
So like kind of like the lead speak Gabe. Yeah.
Smart. Yeah,
not very smart actually.
And for CoffeeZilla, like, you must just be sitting there and being like, okay, thanks. Wild. Can't believe you just admitted to that. Anyways. Oh, what? More? Oh, you're still going. Oh, you're straight up just sending me your co-conspirators' wallet addresses. Okay. Thank you. Weird.
Now,
I
after
didn't know
telling me
it
this
gonna be
wallet was under
easy.
John's control, Papa would later tell me he remembered this as a corporate account.
It's supposed to be a Safemoon or a Tano account.
He then later clarified in DMs, quote, that wallet is a Tano wallet, not a Safemoon wallet. Confirmed. Now, as a reminder, Tano is a company John owned and controlled.
Why are you working with him? He's investigating you. Does he think this absolves him? Like, you're part of this whole story. I hope you know. Oh,
Here's
wow.
the Articles of Incorporation. He's the #1 member. And most importantly, he's not putting the money back in the LP like he's supposed to. To be honest, Papa's surprise about all this stuff in Karony's wallet is just hard to believe. And maybe he was just playing dumb. I don't know. His explanation for a lot was the fact that basically John ran the show and he was basically just an employee.
It's not like any of those decisions were...
Must have been a hell of a good job.
So if
Pretty much retire after all this.
Dude, I get marching orders. You know, you got your boss that's asking you every 5 minutes if they're tracking what you're saying, or if you're tracking what they're saying. You know what I mean? Like that.
So you felt like you were just like an employee,
Well, yeah, I was a Tano employee the whole time.
even
I
though you were
was
the
never a
CTO. Weren't you the CTO?
I was never a
This is like the Jan 6 guy who went to the FBI and talked for 6 hours unprompted. I didn't know that. Is that did he speak? Is it recorded? Like, what did he just reveal a whole bunch of information?
employee. And despite having a title or whatever, it's through the management contract with Tano, which was a gigantic. That's another mess that I need to deal with privately with John.
And this idea was a recurring theme. Papa told me that basically everything he did with the Safemoon contract wasn't his idea. It was John's. This includes their
QA
Bitmart
just did an
deal
episode on
and
it?
how they used the liquidity pool. Papa told me that part of the way they were making money with Bitmart was a money market account. He told me they sold Safemoon to Bitmart in exchange for money. I asked them where they got that Safemoon. What does that mean? They bought it OTC over the counter from Safemoon, but
yeah, it's just a private sale.
how did Safemoon have that Safemoon to sell? Where
Do
did
you
they
have
get that?
a link,
so
Alcontent?
the migration. So when Pancakes, there were a ton of migrations. The V1 to V2 Pancake swap. So it's V1 Safemoon, V1 PCS, and the migration to V2 PCS.
Mhm.
So when that happened, we had to move the liquidity over, and we had to find kind of weird ways. We had to pull liquidity in order to move it over to V2, and in doing so, there was a lot of Safemoon that came out. So there was an excess.
That wasn't put in V2?
Yeah.
Why wasn't it put in V2? It just
It was given to, or well, not given, but John sold it to the. I guess you could. I don't even know how to classify what you would say this transaction is, but so because the exchanges need to obtain the Safemoon, they got it from that pool, and the Safemoon was intended to be sent to the holders anyway. So we figured, the liquidity is still the liquidity.
Now, I'll be honest, the liquidity is still the liquidity is a pretty weird answer. Basically, they're saying those millions of dollars we made, it's all just part of the liquidity. It's all legit. And I had to ask Thomas about this, where he thought this money that was being generated came from. So I'm like not satisfied by this. Like the exchange deal makes no sense to me. I don't understand why millions of dollars or 55 million needs to go to Bitmart for exchange deals. This makes no sense to me. And what John was saying, apparently, is he told someone with the Bitmart deal, they were about to be put into a new tax bracket. Right?
He said what?
He said, we're about to be put into a new tax bracket. Why would he say that if he wasn't going to personally profit from it?
Right.
So
That sounds like something you would say.
here's my question. Like, okay, explain this to me. Because obviously we both know money can't come from nowhere. So let's say if you're just migrating the funds from V1 to V2, no money is generated for Safemoon. If you migrate V1 to V2, but you do it in that weird way where you put a buy order and you end up with millions of dollars of Safemoon, and then you sell that Safemoon to an exchange, all of a sudden, money has been created for Safemoon. And you're telling me that has no price impact for the people of Safemoon? How's that possible?
The price, I guess the value impact will come from volatility, but only on the V1, V2 PCS.
The money has come from somewhere. It didn't come from nowhere, right?
Right, yeah.
How can that be? How could
100%
Safemoon be generating free money?
Right, and the same argument could be made about an unlocked LP in John's hands. So the reason why he wants it unlocked is so that he can use it.
Right.
So he doesn't have to go through this process, likely. So that's a lot easier than just, So these other exchanges were so willing to do this deal because Safemoon comes with a lot of, they've come with a lot of volume.
Yeah, they're going to get a ton in fees, right? So so again,
if he used it for something other than what he should have been using it for, the man should be called out.
So here's what I'm seeing. Like, Safemoon is making millions. The exchanges are making millions.
Yeah.
Who's losing millions?
Right. The people who take the fees.
The investors.
That's where all the money came from.
Yeah. There it is, folks. Money doesn't come from nowhere, if you can take anything from this video. If Safemoon suddenly is making millions, it has to come from somewhere. And if it's from the LP, that's a problem because, again, that was supposed to be locked up. Now, I also talked to Papa about the fees Bitmart stated they were taking to give back to the development team to be placed in the LP. And I wanted to know, were they doing that? So the second part of this is that I got this from their website. So they say that, and I understand maybe they weren't perfect about this, but they say they charge trading fees and that 5% will be directly redistributed. Okay, we know that. That's reflections. And then it says 5% will be returned to the developers to be added back to the liquidity pool for Safemoon tokens.
Oh, yeah, that's something that happened after that's the V2 thing. I left before V1 was discontinued.
No, this is from April 2nd, 2021.
Oh.
So this
Okay,
should be last year.
Okay, so that's not really how we did it though, up until V2 when swap and liquefy was turned off. So we only ever manually transferred LP for when if the LP contracts needed to be upgraded. But still, there's a ton of locked liquidity on V1 still.
Right.
And it's going to be there for like 4 years. We've discovered a few ways that can be withdrawn still.
Okay.
There obviously people have found bugs in the V1 and V2 contracts. V2 contract can be updated. It's a proxy, so you can change whatever's behind the proxy. The trick is maintaining the balance or balances.
So you said you guys really didn't do it that way. Do you mean by that you weren't paid by Bitmart, or you didn't put whatever you were paid by Bitmart back into the LP?
Oh no, I mean like Bitmart didn't pay Safemoon to list with Bitmart.
No, I understand that, but they say they're going to give you guys tokens. So they're saying basically, look, every time you trade on Bitmart, we're taking 10% of it. 5% we're giving back to the Bitmart holders, and 5% we're giving back to Safemoon to put into the LP.
Yeah, so all of on each of the centralized exchanges, the way that it's supposed to work, if tokenomics are, quote unquote enabled, it simulates the V1 process where 10% fee, and then half of it goes to the market making, and then the other half goes to the.
Is in terms like simulates, as in like it doesn't do the action itself, and you're just lying about it? It's a very interesting way of wording it.
And obviously there were problems with that along the way because it wasn't automated. But because of that process,
so
rather than them just collecting it and doing it themselves.
Yeah, this is the cryptocurrency way, because they always try to sound as if they're smarter than they are. I've just been like, we didn't do that thing. We didn't put the savings amount into the savings pool because we took it for ourselves. All of them opted to purchase it from Safemoon because it was easier for them. They didn't have to upgrade their systems and deal with devs and all this other stuff.
But where did that other 5% go is what I'm saying. So you're saying, like, in theory...
I have no idea what happened inside the market making accounts.
Well, that's not a very good answer. Okay, so Papa says he doesn't know what happened inside the market making accounts, but he says he doesn't think they were putting it into the LP. Again, a massive problem. As I said, I believe this is a fraud, no matter how you slice it, because of the simple premise that they said the funds were locked up, they weren't, and they used a bunch of it. Now, they did pivot this stance later, but again, we've addressed this. They had been taking money well before that, and the company had reached values of like billions of dollars by the time they had disclosed it. As for the specifics of what happened with things like Bitmart, payments to Kyle, a lot of those questions remain unanswered. I think the only person who can truly tell us is John Karony, and like I've said, I've reached out for over a month and he has yet to respond. Meanwhile, the person who is talking, I'm grateful to him, but I find his answers less than satisfying. What do you think should be done about this?
Well, I think the first thing that happens is we go to court.
But here's what I'm saying. Here's what I'm saying. Do you think it's right for you to have $2 million, for Kyle to have however much he has, for John to have millions of dollars, all you guys to walk away millionaires, and all your investors, a lot of them are down 90%. Do you think that's fair?
Well, I know you're frustrated and you've got a lot of really good points. From my perspective, which I should probably be only answering on for that part, is I perform a service for money. I'm a dev. I've always been a dev. This is what I do. I've been doing it for a long time.
Scumbag.
So if I work out a deal with the org that's controlling me to get paid for something, I'm providing real value on my end.
Well, I guess that's their last defense. I deserve the money because I worked for it. I personally don't find that too credible. But I want to know what you think in the comments below.
Yeah,
and that's basically it. Pump the stock. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.
Damn. It's kind of an odd finale to that whole saga. Do you enjoy the Serfs but prefer not to have to use your eyeballs? Many are saying this. Well, we've got the solution for you. It's the Serf Times in podcast form, available on most major podcasting networks now. If you enjoy it, please consider leaving a good review and feedback because it really helps the show out, apparently, and it's free, just like the podcast.
To our gods, Xander Corvus and Peyton L. Just, we are prepared to embark on a mighty jihad in your name. To our monarch, Tom Spiker, we are but your humble jester, attempting in vain to get you to laugh. To our valiant knights of the Round Table, Benji Arnie, Tech Tink, Scary Earthhuman, Tony, DM Rivera, Resident Scarecrow, Sir Nickus, Mayred, Cheryl Alvarez, Ruby Kelly, Brandon, Words Greenwood. It doesn't matter what I believe, it only matters what I can prove. Egbert Celine, Matthew Scarborough, Stellar Vision, Ariane McCarthy, Daniel Sutton, Coulter Smith, Jenna Tao, Quiet 185, Anna Loves Riley, Omni, Riley and Anna, Poodlehawk, The Tim Caucus, Multimondi, Trevbot, EXE, Brian Ephraim, Lemmy 101, Anthropophojack, Saren 42, Catherine, Ramon Acosta, Incosin, Agent NDN, Violent Orchard, Political Puppy, La Media Panza, Zach Christensen, Todd Buckingham, and Todd Lajeunesse. We raise our mugs and salute our brave heroes off to another glorious conquest.